Hi everyone, welcome to Tales of Dread. If you like scary stories that are both real and weird, make sure to subscribe, click that bell, and smash that thumbs up. Let's start with the stories. I'm 20 years old and I work in a rural part of Nebraska for an underground limestone mine. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I do. So, I'm sorry that the next part is boring. This mine where I worked is about 250 feet deep and 32 miles away. It is made up of roads with square pillars that are 35 feet long on each side. In some places, there are roads with longer walls, and the parts of the mines are like rooms. Now, I drive a utility semi-truck. It's a 2007 Peterbilt 357 with an extended frame, a big square fuel tank, and a bunch of boxes that hold machine parts or grease. Every day, I drive around and refuel equipment and sometimes give people other fluids. Okay, we're done with the boring stuff. That night, I worked the night shift with about 13 other guys. I was doing my normal fuel runs when all of a sudden, a huge gust of dusty wind blew into the cab. I already knew what was going on. A strange part of the mine that had been left empty must have caved in. I stopped and put my blue strobe light on top of the cab to let people know it was time to leave the mine. I was just about to do that. Mark yelled into the radio, "Mini-vac. Mini-vac. This is not a test, columns and ceilings are falling down everywhere." The 63rd part. My stomach fell into my chest. This section of the mine was very busy, and I was right about it. I started to feel scared. I was confused about what to do. Because the manual transmission was in between the seats, I only had one extra seat in my cab. I wouldn't be able to get a group together. Only a single person. I finally came to my senses. I put the car in park, hit the brakes, slammed the clutch in, put it in first gear, and sped off. This truck is not usually very fast. It can only go 35 miles per hour. I was going as fast as I could on the road. Another blast of dust hit me in the face. I hit the brakes hard and looked around in the dust. The roof had fallen down right in front of me. I turned my head to the left. There was just a solid wall, which made me feel like I had lost. On my right was a berm, and behind it was an empty room. The berm was made of rocks and other things stacked on top of each other. I looked up at the camera in the back and saw something rumble behind me. How in the hell did this get there? Without me even noticing, fear crept all over me. I would have driven through it about 10 seconds ago. I was in a jam. When I got out of the taxi, I turned on the light on my helmet. There was a lot of dust. I could almost not see. I crossed the berm so I wouldn't be in the way. After about 30 seconds of walking, I started to hear something. No, that can't be right. I heard a woman singing in a sweet, soothing voice. As I got closer, I could see it. A Native American woman was washing clothes while a younger child stood close by. For those who don't understand, Nebraska is a popular place for Native Americans. The well-known Omaha tribe came from this area. It looks like her mother. I thought so. I watched them and called to them. "Hello, guys, can you hear me?" When my own voice echoed off the walls, it scared me. They stopped for a second, but then they went back to what they were doing. I must have been hallucinating or something from all the dust. I had dust all over me. I went back to the truck by turning around. My jaw dropped. It wasn't there. What the hell is going on? I shrieked. The woman and child were right in front of me when I turned around. I fell down and rolled backwards on the ground after landing on my back. How in the world did they come up to me? I got to my feet in less than 15 seconds and yelled, "What the hell are you doing here?" No answer from either one of them. Enough was enough. I went over to the woman to give her a handshake, but my hands went right through her. Enough was enough. I wanted to get away from them, but they seemed so calm. The mother was carrying a basket full of food, including corn, fruits, and other things. The child had a doll that looked like it was made out of yarn and cornstalks. The child pointed at me and said something I didn't understand. When I turned around, horses and carriages were coming at them at full speed. To get out of the way, I jumped to my right. They just stopped in front of them. A group of 3 men got out of a wooden wagon with an older man. I saw a scene of pilgrims meeting colonists. They were dressed in black and wore fancy top hats. With a smile on her face, the mother held out her basket to them. The man did nothing but look at her. This was pretty cool, though. Then something changed. The man pulled what looked like a gun out of his pocket and shot the woman in the head. Blood came out of the back of her head, and she fell backward and passed out. The child screamed and tried to run away, but another man with an old rifle came out from behind the man I thought was their leader. I heard one shot, and the child's face fell to the ground. I was scared, surprised, and puzzled. I never read about this in history books. The older men started laughing, and they got back into their wagons and on their horses. When the man pointed forward, everyone ran away. I had to know what would happen next. I reached into my side pocket and turned on my phone. 58% charge. I should be all right. I began to follow them by running. Not even 10 feet away, another scene started to play. The colonists were getting close to an American Indian village. Many of the Native Americans walked up to the group with smiles on their faces. When they saw the men, a group playing a big drum stopped playing right away. I started recording on my phone, but it died as soon as I started. What the hell did I say? Then, a man came out of a tent. He was a big man with beautiful beads, feathers, and handmade armor all over his body. Small black square, a tap. His head was a war bonnet that was beautifully made. He must have been the tribe's leader. He walked up to them. When the chief tried to talk to the colonists, they began to laugh at him. Then it became a terrible nightmare. The man grabbed the chief by the head and started to choke him, while the other men began pulling out their rifles and pistols. Some people had access to weapons and others. They started to fight with the villagers. I saw a man get stabbed and then shot in the back. Then I saw some of the children start to run toward their parents, the ones who were still together. There are colonists all around us. Even before they could throw explosive fire mixtures at them, the families caught fire and exploded. Many of the women tried to run away, but the colonists grabbed them. They started to hurt the women. They were bad people. I swore. All of them had bright red eyes, and their screams were terrible. This was not a treaty for peace. This was a killing spree. Several villagers with weapons came out of the village. They fought a full-scale war against the colonists. When a colonist turned his back, a strange sword cut off his head. The warrior was shot in the side right away by another man. A group of warriors were cutting the colonists into pieces. I was chanting to the villagers in my head. A warrior on a horse ran over a man with a rifle, instantly breaking his bones. For some reason, I started to hate a part of myself. I wanted to join them because I wanted to help the Native Americans. I took a deep, heavy breath in and started to get ready. I got up and ran to one of the tents, where I quickly found a bow and arrow on my way out. I grabbed a spear with beautiful carvings on it. I came out of the tent. Some of the villagers and colonists stopped what they were doing and looked at me in shock. I raised the bow and aimed it at the colonist. I let go of the string, and the arrow hit him in the chest. The Native Americans looked at the man, then back at me. I was afraid that they would attack me, but they didn't. They all cheered, called me something that sounded like Sunga chalk, and ran into battle. I felt good. I moved quickly forward as the men chanted behind me. I started killing colonists right away. I learned how to fight when I was in the 9th grade, so the colonists fell like an old branch from a tree. I hit a man in the face, grabbed his gun, and shot him. A colonist with an axe started running toward me. I turned to kick him, but an arrow hit him in the side of the head. As he fell past me, I saw a young warrior with a bow and arrow. I nodded my head, and he did the same. Go ahead. I told myself that I had seen several men kick the chief very hard. One of the men took out a gun and pointed it at the man's head. He was being held down by the other man. I swung the axe high over my head and brought it down like a baseball bat into the man's side. It hurt him right away, like a hot knife cutting through butter. I turned around and started killing the other men by stabbing them with the spear and swinging the axe time at the same time. When I heard a loud crack behind me, I turned around to see a man with a gun cowering behind me. When I turned around, he was loading again. Why wasn't I hurting? When I looked down, a lead ball was stuck to the front of my shirt. Was I safe from harm? As the man fumbled to reload the gun, I smiled with excitement and walked over to him. I took it out of his hands and, as he stood there not knowing what to do, I turned the gun around, hit him in the head with it, and knocked him out. Small black square, damn. I really wish I had my C7, one up on me. I had a laugh to myself. This whole thing would end right away. Slowly, the colonists tried to get out of the way. A lot of warriors were chanting together. When the colonists ran to their wagons and turned around to go somewhere else, I joined them. Then I saw the older leader of the colonists get up and limp away. The warriors looked at him when they saw him. I was already on the move. I threw my spear by holding it high above my head. It flew through the air like a tank that had just taken off, hit him in the middle of his back, and threw him to the other side. As I walked up to the man and picked up a random rifle on the way, he fell to his knees, and the warriors came after me. I walked up to him and went around him in a circle. What's your name? Every week, he sputtered. I looked over at him. I couldn't think of anything to say. Small black square, small black square, small black square, sayonara turd. I shot in a cold way. I aimed the gun at his head and shot him between the eyes. Small black square, he slumped over. The hole in his head slowly leaked blood. When I looked at the group, they started chanting and praising me. Even though I still don't understand what they were saying, it felt good. We had been sitting around the fire for what seemed like an hour, and I was eating things I had never had before. It was very tasty. It was even better than my favorite food. A lot of the women gave me necklaces and other things to wear made of beads. When I turned around to see who was there, I saw that it was the chief. Small black square, I stood up. We looked at each other as he began to talk. His voice boomed, and it was so catchy that I couldn't forget it. He gave me a piece of wood carved into the shape of a bird. I put it in my pocket, and turned around to look at everyone again. All of them were gone. I turned around again, but nothing had changed. What in the world? I started to feel dizzy, and soon I could see stars and all kinds of colors. Small black square, I collapsed. I woke up in the back of a fast-moving pickup truck. I could see the light of day shining on me. I tried to sit up, but someone put me back down gently. "Man, don't move, we're going to get you out of here." He asked, "What's going on? Am I okay?" I had questions every week. I looked at my chest and saw that there were psi bolts going through it. It was the same place where I had been shot. I just put my head back and lost consciousness. I woke up in the hospital surrounded by mine workers who were for once wearing nice clothes. All of them were smiling as they gathered around me. "You doing okay?" Kid Mark asked. "I'm good, sure." "What went wrong?" I croaked, and a huge part of the mine fell down. He told her, "You were stuck for nearly 4 hours. You left tracks around the parts of the mine that had been cleared." I clenched my hand under the covers. "Cool?" I mutter, but I don't show any emotion as I think about the things I had seen and left. I left the hospital 3 weeks after I got there. When I got ready for work one morning, I put on the same pants I had worn at the event. I sensed something about them. I put my hand in my pocket and took out the bird that had been carved. I just looked at it and said, "Wow, dude," with a smile. This story has always been interesting to me because I've always been interested in Native American culture, and because the main character could go back in time spiritually to help the Native Americans fight the evil colonists. I thought it was really cool. I thought that was really interesting and different from a lot of the stories I tell and that other people tell, too. I really liked how different it was. So, if you liked it, be sure to sign up for more. If you're new, give that thumbs up and click that bell so you never miss a video. Have a good night,